stars outside his cockpit looked cold and endless, scattered like frozen fire across the black ocean of space. Commander Ryan Hale had flown patrols in silence before, but tonight the silence felt heavier. His ship's hum was steady, his controls smooth under his hands, yet something pressed against his chest as if the void itself was waiting. He glanced at the monitors, scanning for signals. Nothing. Only the faint pulse of the ship's systems and the crackle of static in the comms. He leaned back, tired from weeks of deep space drift, when suddenly the static shifted. It wasn't just noise, it carried shape. It carried words. At first he thought it was his imagination. Long hours in the dark could bend a man's mind. But then he heard it again, clearer this time, a voice cutting through the static like a whisper through. Smoke. Ryan Hale. The sound was not human. It was deeper, layered, and strange. Every syllable rolled as if more than one tongue had spoken it at once. Ryan froze, his breath caught in his throat. His name. Out here where no one should know. Him, he leaned closer to the console, eyes narrowing as the voice came again, stronger. I am waiting, human. His heart slammed against his ribs. He checked the channels, switching through frequencies, but nothing explained it. No beacon. No ship nearby. No coded broadcast from Earth. Just that single voice that had no right to know who he was. He gripped the throttle tighter, 1,000 questions running through his mind. Was it a trick? Some enemy test of human nerves? Or worse, was he losing his grip on reality after too many nights adrift in the void? Yet the voice carried weight. A presence that felt alive, reaching through the distance to find him. He forced himself to breathe slow, steady, and he began tracing the signal. His console flickered, data spilling across the screen as his systems locked on to a faint direction. The voice wasn't coming from nowhere, it had a source. A weak but steady emission, hidden in the static, pulling from far ahead. Ryan's stomach tightened as the coordinates aligned with a dead sector. No colonies, no stations, no traffic lanes. Only a star at the edge of collapse, encircling it, the silent shadow of a derelict station. He hesitated. Going in meant risking his ship, maybe his life. But something in the way that voice spoke his name told him this wasn't chance. Someone or something wanted him there. Against his better judgment, he set the course. The engines roared softly, and his ship cut through the darkness toward the dying star. The closer he came, the more his instruments failed. Signals scrambled, scanners bent back empty. But the whisper grew sharper, clearer, almost urgent. I am waiting. It was no longer just a sound. He felt it inside his chest, as if the words sank past his ears and pressed against his heart. The station emerged from the dark like a skeleton adrift in the sky. Massive rings, broken in places, floated in eerie silence around a pulsating core. No lights, no signs of life. The design was nothing humanist. Walls curved in alien patterns, spirals that seemed too deliberate to be random. The hull looked alive in places, grown rather than built, as though the structure itself was part machine, part flesh. Ryan felt the breath leave him as he drifted closer, the station filling his view like a dead god watching from the void. His hands shook slightly, but he steadied them. He had come this far. Docking was clumsy, his ship clamping onto a port that barely seemed intact. The moment his boots touched the alien metal, the whisper filled his helmet, no longer distant, but close enough that he swore it echoed behind his eyes. Ryan Hale, you came. He spun, scanning the corridor. Darkness pressed in around him, broken only by the faint glow of his suit's light. The walls pulsed faintly, veins of dim energy crawling like dying embers. Every step he took seemed to wake the station, breathing life into its dead veins. He walked deeper. Each echo of his boots swallowed quickly by the strange air. The voice guided him, never loud, but always near, slipping past his fear like a hand resting on his shoulder. He wanted to ask who it was, what it wanted, but something inside told him the answer would not comfort him. As he moved, shadows bent. Strangely, at the edges of his light, like the walls themselves were watching, at last he reached a chamber that opened wide, a heart of the station. Massive pillars rose into the dark, carved with symbols that twisted when he tried to focus on them. In the center stood a structure like a cage, pulsing with faint energy. The voice surged here, powerful and close, wrapping around him. I am here. I am waiting, human, for you. Ryan's breath caught. This was no accident. The prison, the voice, the way it knew his name, was all meant for him. Alone in that chamber, with the dead stars, light bleeding faintly through the cracks, whatever lived here had been waiting, not for humanity. But for him, the silence that followed was heavy. The whisper had stopped, leaving only the beat of his own heart and the faint thrum of alien energy in the cage. He stared at it, torn between fear and curiosity. He had a choice now. Turn back to his ship, flee this haunted station before it swallowed him whole, or step closer to the cage and face whatever had called his name from the void. His hand twitched on his weapon. His breath fogged the inside of his helmet, and in the shadows, the alien prison waited, silent but alive, its whisper still echoing deep in his bones. Ryan stood at the edge of the chamber, his light sweeping across walls that breathed like the lungs of something enormous. The silence after the whisper was heavier than sound, wrapping around him until even the hum of his own suit felt wrong, out of place. His visor fogged with his breath as his eyes locked on the structure in the center, the cage of black spires that twisted upward like claws frozen mid-swipe. Energy pulsed faintly between the bars, weak but alive, glowing with the rhythm of a heartbeat. He could not move at first. His body was frozen, trapped between the pull of curiosity and the anchor of fear. The cage was not empty. First it looked like shadows, coiled and shapeless, shifting just beyond the reach of his light. Then it moved. The dark pressed forward against the bars, and Ryan swore it had eyes, not human, not even animal, but points of light burning like cold stars in the black. His fingers tightened around his sidearm, but he didn't raise it. Something deep in him warned that weapons would be useless here. The whisper returned, soft but sharp, a voice that pressed against his bones instead of his ears. You came, you answered. He swallowed hard, his throat dry. Who are you? His voice shook, though he tried to steady it. The shadows inside. The cage stirred and the bars shivered as if straining to hold them back. I am what was left behind. I am the prisoner of silence. You know me, though. You have never seen me. Ryan frowned. His mind spun, but the words carried a strange weight, something that felt older than time. He stepped closer without realizing it, his boots echoing in the cavernous chamber. The floor beneath him pulsed, veins of faint blue light crawling outward. With each step he took, as if the station itself responded to his presence. The cage vibrated, and for a heartbeat he thought it would shatter, but it held. You are late, the voice said. I have waited through the death of suns, through the silence of endless dark, and you are the one who heard me. Ryan shook. His head, his heart pounded like thunder. I didn't come for you, I picked up a signal, that's all. The voice rolled through him, deeper now, carrying something almost like laughter. There are no accidents in the void. Only calls and answers. The shadows pressed harder against the bars, and this time Ryan stepped back, his light trembling across the cage. For a moment, the dark parted, and he saw something that stole his breath. A figure, almost human, wrapped in chains of light that cut deep into its form. Its body was tall, too tall, and its limbs stretched too far. Its face was veiled in shadow, but those eyes, those burning, star-like eyes never left him. You feel it, the prisoner whispered. The link between us, you hear me when no other can. That is why you were brought. Ryan's skin crawled. He wanted to deny it, to push back against the weight of the words, but deep down he knew it was true. He had felt the pull long before. He landed here, a tension in his chest that dragged him toward this place like gravity. What do you want from me? His voice cracked in the hollow air. The answer came with a tremor that shook the chamber. Freedom. The word hit him like a blow. He glanced at the bars, the pulsing energy, the alien chains biting into the shadowed form. Every instinct screamed at him that this was wrong. This being wasn't meant to be free. The station was. not just to ruin it, was a prison built to hold something beyond human understanding. And now it had chosen him, called him, pulled him here. Ryan forced himself to breathe, gripping his weapon tighter. Why me, not anyone else? The whisper slid through him, cold and certain. Because you will open the door. A shiver ran down his spine. He looked again at the cage, at the bars that shook as if weakening each time he spoke. He thought of Earth, of the fleet far away, of how dangerous it would be if this creature escaped. But another thought crept in, uninvited. What if it wasn't evil? What if this was a key to knowledge, to power, something humanity had never touched before? The void was full of enemies, full of threats. Could this prisoner be the answer they didn't know they needed? The walls pulsed harder now, the station alive with energy that rippled outward like a heartbeat. Ryan could almost feel the cage weakening just by standing there. The prisoner leaned closer, those eyes burning brighter. One touch, Ryan Hale. One step closer, and the door opens. I will give you what you seek. Power, truth, the end of your endless wars. Do not let fear blind you, Ryan. Stood still, torn. The chamber groaned, dust falling from the ancient pillars. He knew he had a choice: turn away and run back to his ship, sealing this secret forever in the dark. Or step forward, touch the cage, and release something older than the stars themselves. The silence stretched. His breath echoed in his helmet. His hand trembled, not knowing whether to reach for the cage or retreat into the shadows. Behind the bars, the prisoner waited, its eyes never blinking, its voice curling like smoke in his mind. Choose human. The void has waited long enough. Ryan's hand hovered in the air, trembling as the whisper grew louder, curling through his mind like smoke. His breath was shallow, fogging the visor, and his heart hammered so hard he thought the prisoner could hear it. The black spires of the cage pulsed with faint light, each flicker tempting him closer, promising answers to questions he never knew he had. The being behind the bars leaned forward, its form shifting like a shadow caught between shapes. Understand, it whispered, softer now, almost tender. One step, and the chains break. Ryan clenched his jaw, sweat rolling down his temple inside the helmet. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to get back to his ship, to burn this place from the sky. But there was another pull, deeper, quieter, the need to know. The universe was vast, and humanity was still so small. Wars, borders, enemies, they were endless. And here, trapped in this living tomb, was something that had outlived stars. What if it was right? What if he was meant to find it? He forced himself to speak, though his voice cracked. If I free you, what happens to me, to my people? The prisoner's eyes flared brighter, cold fire piercing him. I will give you what no empire, no fleet, no weapon can. The void has truths your kind is blind to. With me, you will rise. With me, your kind will never kneel again. The chamber shook as if the station itself reacted to the promise. Drifted down in slow spirals, glowing faintly in the weak blue veins that pulsed through the floor. Ryan's fingers twitched. His whole body screamed against the decision, yet he found himself stepping forward. Each step made the cage hum louder, each beat sinking with his heart until he could not tell if it was his pulse or the prisoner's. Then, as his hand hovered inches from the bars, another voice cut through the silence. It wasn't the prisoner. It was his cum system, crackling faint but human. Ryan, do you copy, Hale? Answer if you're alive. His eyes widened. He stumbled back a step, gasping. The whisper fought to drown it out, pushing harder into his skull, but the human voice anchored him. Static hissed. Then the voice returned. Urgent. This is Commander Vena aboard the Dauntless. You tracked your beacon. You're not alone out there. Do you understand me? Hold position. The prisoner hissed, the sound sharp, shaking the bars. They will not save you. They do. Not hear me. Only you. They fear what they cannot control. Ryan's chest rose and fell as he stared at the cage. His hand trembled between two choices: reach out and end the waiting, or step away and let the shadows rot forever in silence. Stronger now, Ryan. Whatever you're seeing, do not engage. The readings from that structure are off the charts. We're coming to extract you. The whisper slammed into his mind, colder, angrier. Lies. They chain you as I am chained. Do not listen. Do not leave me here to die in the dark again. The chamber seemed to tilt around him, the air too heavy to breathe. Ryan fell to one knee, clutching his helmet as the two voices tore at him, one human, distant but real. The other ancient, close, intimate, promising something greater. He could feel the weight of the choice pressing on him like the void itself. His gaze lifted back to the prisoner. The chains of light cut into its form, sparks of energy bleeding away. Its eyes bore into his soul. You know the truth, Ryan. Hail, you were chosen. Do not waste it. For a moment, he imagined it unlocking the bars, stepping into history as the man who unleashed something no one else dared touch. Humanity would change forever. He would change forever. But then he heard Commander Vena's voice again, clear and sharp, cutting through the storm in his mind. Ryan, listen to me. We have weapons primed. If you tamper with that structure, we'll be forced to destroy it. Do not make us choose between you and the fleet. Ryan froze, his mind torn in two. The cage hummed, his cum buzzed, and in the heart of it all, he knew one truth. Whatever he decided, there would be no turning back. Slowly, painfully, Ryan rose to his feet. His hand hovered one last time over the glowing bars, the shadows pressing forward as if begging for his touch. His other hand gripped his cum device, Commander Vena's voice filling his helmet. The chamber roared with tension, the prisoner, whispering, the commander demanding, and Ryan standing between them, about to make a choice that would decide not only his fate, but the fate of everything beyond the void. The black silence of the void shattered as the Dauntless emerged from warp, its vast frame tearing through the stars like a blade. Flanking it, two smaller war frigates unfolded from the jump corridor, their hulls glowing faintly from the burn of re-entry. The squadron moved into formation with practiced precision.
Ow.
Engines rumbling through the cum channels as their weapons hummed alive. For the crew aboard those ships, the sight of the twisted station drifting in the dark was like staring into a grave carved by gods. Its broken spires reached upward like claws, and within that monstrous shape their lost pilot waited, dry and hale. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Commander Vena stood tall, her jaw tight, eyes fixed on the holographic projection of the alien structure. Static bled across the scans, the station defying every sensor pulse. It was alive and yet dead, ancient and yet pulsing with a heartbeat none could explain. Get me visual on Hale's signal, she ordered, her voice steady but strained. Officers rushed across the deck, their faces pale under the glow of flickering monitors. A locator flashed on the map deep inside the station's heart. Ma'am, one of the officers said, his voice uneasy. His bioreadings are irregular. Elevated heart rate, neural spikes. Something's interfering with him. Vena's fists clenched behind her back. She knew Ryan. He was steady, reliable, a soldier who followed the code. But the interference in his vitals told a different story. Something inside that husk was reaching for him. Something wanted him to choose. Patch me through, she snapped across the void. Ryan staggered inside the chamber, his helmet alive with static as Vena's voice broke through again. He pressed a trembling hand to the comm, anchoring himself. To the human voice, while the prisoner's whisper slithered around his thoughts like chains of ice, the spires groaned at the intrusion of the fleet, their black forms pulsing with defensive light. The prisoner hissed, its shifting face twisting with rage. They come to destroy. They fear me. They will burn this place and you with it. Ryan's throat was dry. He forced himself to speak, his words rough. Commander, you shouldn't be here. This place sits alive. It doesn't want to let go. On the bridge, Vena's eyes narrowed. She turned to her officers. Arm railguns. Prep missile bays. Her voice cut through the hum of tension. If that station makes a move, I want it obliterated. The prisoner's laughter filled Ryan's mind, cold and echoing. They raise weapons against what they do not understand. But you see, The truth. Tell them to stand down. Tell them to kneel, or they will never leave. Ryan shook his head violently, trying to tear free from the voice. His body ached, as if the weight of two worlds crushed him. He looked up, seeing the spires shift, twisting toward the fleet outside like spears ready to strike. His heart dropped. The station wasn't dormant anymore, it was waking up. Vena's voice came again, hard and sharp. Ryan, listen to me. Whatever that thing is saying, it's lying. Do not let it inside you. We're here to bring you home. But the whisper rose louder, curling through his veins. Home? What home waits for you out there, soldier? Endless wars. Orders shouted from trembling leaders who hide behind you. With me you would command. With me they would follow you, not the other way around. The chamber quaked. The bars of the cage flared with violent light, and the prisoner pressed its shifting form against them, stretching, clawing at the gaps. Sparks of dark energy snapped across the room, searing the walls. Ryan stumbled backward, torn between the two voices. His own cry lost beneath the storm. Outside, alarms screamed across the Dauntless. Commander, the station is powering something. Energy levels are spiking. Vena's hand slammed down on the console, weapons free. Target the spires. The ship groaned as batteries rotated, locking onto the twisted towers. The smaller frigates shifted formation, their guns glowing with lethal light. Across the void, firepower gathered, aimed at the heart of the dark. Inside, Ryan's come filled with Vena's final order. Stand clear, Hale. We'll burn it down. But the prisoner's scream shook the air, every word piercing his skull. No. If they strike, all is lost. Stop them, Ryan Hale. Only you can choose. Save me or let the void swallow us all. The fleet was seconds away from firing. Ryan's hands shook, his voice trapped in his throat. His choice would either free something older than empires, or let his people destroy it forever. And in that moment, standing between the weight of his species and the whisper in the dark, Ryan realized the war was no longer about survival. It was about who would claim the void first. The stars lit up like 1,000 suns as the Dauntless fired. Railgun slugs screamed through the void, tearing across the black toward the alien station. The frigates followed, their missile bays cracking open and unleashing swarms of warheads. That streaked through the emptiness with trails of fire. For a heartbeat, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Then the spires moved. The twisted towers of the station flexed like living limbs, black metal twisting and reshaping in impossible angles. Energy crackled across their surfaces, bending space itself. The first volley of human fire struck, but instead of shattering the spires, the projectiles froze in mid-flight, suspended like insects caught in amber. A shimmering field rippled around the station, swallowing the missiles whole until their lights vanished into its surface. Then, in a roar that rattled every hull, the station struck back. Beams of pale light erupted from its spires, so bright they carved after-images into human eyes. They tore across the darkness, ripping past the Dauntless and grazing one of the frigate's metal screamed as the smaller ship's side was flayed open, atmosphere venting into the void in a silent explosion. Crew members screamed across open coms before static swallowed their voices. The Dauntless jolted under the shockwave, alarms wailing. But Vena stood firm at the center of chaos, her voice hard as iron. Evasive maneuvers. Keep firing, don't let it breathe. The Dauntless turned, railguns hammering and continuous. Fire missile pods ejecting wave after wave of payloads. Explosions blossomed across the station's surface, tearing away fragments of the black armor. For the first time, the creature bled. The station howled, not with sound, but with a psychic scream that stabbed into every mind in range. Crews staggered at their consoles, clutching their heads as whispers slithered into their thoughts. Inside the chamber, Ryan collapsed to his knees. The prisoner roared, its form pressing against the cage until sparks tore from its restraints. They strike me as if I am the enemy. But it is them, soldier. It is them who bring death. They will kill you as easily as they kill me. Stop them before it is too late. Ryan's come filled with chaos. The voices of men and women dying, the sharp commands of officers, the rising panic of a fleet outmatched. His chest heaved, his pulse beating so hard he thought his heart would split. He looked up, watching through a cracked visor as the station's heart pulsed brighter, as if feeding on the conflict. As if each shot only woke it further. Outside, the second frigate broke formation, circling to flank the station. Its railguns hammered, sparks flashing across the spires until one snapped under the assault, tumbling into the void. Cheers echoed through the cumlines, but they were cut short. The station screamed again, and a wave of white energy burst outward. The second frigate vanished in an instant, consumed in a bloom of light that left nothing but drifting fragments and dying signals. The bridge of the Dauntless went silent, the crew staring in horror as one of their own ships ceased to exist. Vena's hand trembled over the console, but her voice never faltered. "We keep fighting. We don't stop until it's ash." But Ryan knew. He felt it in his bones, in the way the prisoner's words dug deeper with each passing second. "You see it now, don't you? Your weapons cannot end me. Every strike only tears the veil further. This is no battle to win, it is a cage to hold. If they break it, nothing will stop what comes next." Ryan gasped, clutching his helmet as his vision blurred. He saw Flash's armies burning, skies ripped apart, fleets shattered in silence. The prisoner's voice became a storm. "Choose soldier. Save them from their own hand, or let the stars drown in fire." Outside, the Dauntless prepared for its final strike. Missile bays emptied, railguns glowed from overheating, every ounce of firepower concentrated on the prisoner's prison. Vena raised her hand for the last command, "Fire everything we have." The ship's core groaned, energy building to its peak. Ryan staggered forward, his scream lost in the rising hum of destruction. He slammed his fists against the alien console, torn between loyalty and terror, between command and the whisper in the dark. His body shook as if his choice could split the universe itself. And then the void erupted. The void burned. Missiles streaked like falling stars, railguns hammered until their barrels glowed white. And every ship in the human fleet poured fire into the alien station. For a moment it seemed the impossible could be done. The black spires cracked pieces of the twisted metal fell away, and explosions lit its surface like wounds. But instead of dying, the station awakened. The surface rippled like liquid shadow. Where armor had been torn away, new flesh grew. Not metal, but something alive. Something pulsing with light. It healed as fast as it was broken. The energy field swelled wider, swallowing warheads before they could strike, bending space around it until even the stars themselves seemed to tremble. On the bridge of the Dauntless, alarms shrieked in red. Light washed over the crew. Smoke rose from panels as systems strained under the heat. Captain Vena's jaw was set in stone, her hand gripping the arm of her chair until her knuckles bled white. She watched her fleet burn in real time, one frigate torn apart, the other fighting for its life, its hull riddled with holes that vented glowing trails of atmosphere into space. "We're outmatched," one officer whispered, his face pale. As death, Vena turned on him, eyes blazing. "We do not retreat, not while it still breathes." But deep in the station's heart, Ryan knew the truth. The whispers had become a storm in his head, a voice that was no longer faint but roaring, pressing into every thought. The prisoner loomed in the cage, its body straining, cracks splitting the energy bars that held it. Sparks rained like falling stars as it pushed against its restraints. "Do you see, human? They cannot kill me. They can only break the lock. With every strike, they tear away another chain. It's soon, I will be free. But you can decide how. This ends. Do you want them to perish in fire, or will you claim the key?" Ryan's hands shook as he clutched the console, sweat dripping into his eyes. He could feel the station's heartbeat now, each pulse matching his own, as if it had chosen him. On his come, the bridge crew screamed as another beam of white light tore through the void, ripping past the Dauntless and obliterating what remained of the last frigate. Thousands of voices went silent in an instant. "Ryan," Vena's voice roared through the channel, breaking through the storm. "Report, what's happening inside? Can we breach it?" He wanted to answer. He wanted to tell her that their fire was not breaking the station, but feeding it, that each missile only woke it further. But the voice inside his skull was louder, thundered with ancient power, with rage older than stars. Say nothing. They are blind. Only you can see. Free me, and I will spare you. Free me, and I will give you strength beyond them all. Ryan screamed, his voice lost in the storm, as the console lit up beneath his palms. Strange symbols danced across its surface, glowing brighter with each heartbeat. His hands moved without his will, tracing the alien script, entering commands he couldn't understand yet somehow knew. The cage shuddered. The bars cracked, the light between them dimming until darkness leaked through. On the Dauntless, Baina's eyes widened as every screen lit with warnings, energy levels spiking beyond measure, station's core blazing with impossible power. And in the center of it, Alreen's life signal, pulsing wildly. Pull him out, she ordered. Get him out of there before, but it was too late. Cage shattered with a soundless scream. Darkness rushed outward like a wave, swallowing the chamber, swallowing Ryan, swallowing the station itself. The alien prisoner stepped free, no longer bound, its form towering, shifting, a thing of shadow and fire that no human mind could fully hold. Its voice thundered across the stars, not through coms, not through sound, but inside every skull. Am awake. The fleet froze. The Dauntless trembled as if space itself recoiled. Even Vaina, iron in her blood, felt her breath catch in her throat as her crew clutched their heads, writhing under the weight of its presence. In the chamber, Ryan fell to his knees, the shadows wrapping around him like a cloak. The prisoner leaned close, eyes burning like suns. You are mine now, soldier, and through you, so is your world. The void outside went silent. Not a missile fired, not a railgun sang. Humanity's fleet was broken, the alien station reborn. And in the center of it all, one man knelt before something that was never meant to be free. The breaking point had come. The galaxy would never be the same.